Hey folks, welcome back to the show, and today we're going to take a look at the Transformers Generations Thrilling 30 Deluxe Class Jhiaxus. And yes, that is how you pronounce the name, apparently. He was definitely a kind of a quirky figure that came out, and when I first saw him I had no idea who he was at all. And wasn't sure if I really wanted him at first until I started to realize that he was based on the Armada Starscream mold, and that was a fantastic mold. Once I saw him in hand and just how brilliant his orange was and how different it was, I kind of wanted him more. But does that mean that he is a perfect representation of this kind of, I won't say obscure, but sort of obscure character? Well, we're going to talk about all of that and more with this guy in the latest GotBot True Review. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and as always, please check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. Check me out everywhere, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we're going to get right into Jhiaxus. Now, you see his name, and right away it gets a little bit confusing. Is it pronounced Jhiaxus? Well, my understanding in doing a little bit of research on the guy is that it was a play on words from Simon Furman, legendary in the Transformers community, obviously, dreading the end of the Generation 2 comic, basically. I don't know how much truth is to it, or if that's urban legend or what. The name's been spelled a bunch of different ways. And this guy has kind of unique origins. If you look at the different fiction, he never appeared in the show, so that's why I called him sort of obscure. But he was in, the comics multiple times over. A couple of things, I guess, about him tend to be kind of remain true. He's intelligent. What else? He doesn't kind of like the Transformers that we all know and love, the Autobots and the Decepticons, feeling like they are throwbacks, and he wants to have a unified Cybertron. Now, there are other parts of his personality that kind of alter depending on the type of fiction you read for him. I think at some point he might have also been a mentor for Shockwave. So, he's the guy Shockwave looked up to. That says a lot about his character. The paint scheme here, the body type, and all of that good stuff. What can I say about that? It is a, I'll give it like, I guess a 2. I'll give it a 2, and the reason being because it's very much focused on the way he was presented in the Devastation miniseries. But I think for more popularized versions of this guy, you tend to think of, like a yellow face and yellow chest. You tend to think of a lot more white. I can't remember if his head is orange or red. Anyway, so he's a bit of a different dude, and this is a bit of a different take. That's why I can only give the look of him about a 2. Although I do like the head sculpt, and I do think that that's a pretty good Jhiaxus face, to be perfectly honest with you. Posability, playability. Maybe he'll go up from here. You know what? Posability, playability is something that does really kind of help save this guy. Let's kind of just get him in order here. The head goes, left and right. It can go all the way around, actually. It looks, up a fair amount. It looks down. These can go over his shoulders just like they can with Starscream. So, you got that going for you if you want them up there. The wings, they can kind of move. You have a little bit of, leeway here. The weapon storage, I think, is pretty decent, having them on the wings. I kind of dig that. The arms go way out, and I like the extra detailing in here of a hinge, kind of in his armpit area, so that it looks like it's still mechanics. The arm, if the wing wasn't there, it could go all the way around, but you still have a pretty free range of motion as it is. bicep swivel, 90-degree elbow for sure. The wrists can, they can bend in because of transformation. You know, I don't know if that's anything any good for you, but they can do that. No waist because of transformation, really. The legs, they can go way out to the side, absolutely beautiful. Way forward, if these are out of the way back, and a super deep knee. It's because of transformation, but it's more than 90 degrees. It is great. I love it. And his feet, you don't have ankle tilt, but they're angled in such a way that when his legs are a little bit open, he still has kind of a decent looking A stance. And of course there's a thigh rotation. Honestly, I really like the guy. I wasn't super drawn to him to begin with, but I absolutely love the guy. I love the orange on him. I ended up getting this guy. This is one of those where I was on the fence a bit, but so glad that I got him. I got this guy a couple of Christmases ago from Starscream Girlfriend, so I'm kind of glad that she took the initiative to pick him up. She'd heard me talk about him a little bit, and he kind of came as a little bit of a surprise when I first found out that I had him, but like I said, the more I fiddled with him, the more I liked him. Honestly, for posability, playability, the guy's only missing a waist. To me, I don't care about a waist. Some people do. So in respect to that, I'm going to give his posability, playability a 9. A 9.5. He is solid. He stands well. He does everything well, and you can get him in great dynamic poses. That brings us to the transformation, but I guess before I do that, I always forget this. Here he is with a modern day deluxe. That is the Titans Return Scourge figure, who I customized and took a look at the whole thing back in episode 139. So we're gonna, jump into transformation for this guy. It is really the same thing as Starscream. Now, if you want to see from Jet to robot mode, I did a little video where I looked at some kind of classics generations, odds and ends, and I have a headless Armada Starscream there, and I do the transformation from vehicle to robot. This is the way the guy comes in package. He is complete, so we're going to do it the first way that you would encounter it if you got him. Where do we begin? I guess we'll begin by pulling out his chest and his nose cone. Starscream's nose cone just stays out when you fold it down. Jhiaxus's actually folds in under. It was a different nose cone here on the cockpit section. Honestly, as you push the chest up, the head is going to kind of come down here anyway. It's pretty easy. Now that you have that done, what will we do next? I guess we'll probably do the rest of the main body here next. Take the feet and you fold in the heel, fold in the heel, fold up the foot, and fold up the foot there a little bit. Turn the legs toward each other so that the wing pieces on his shins are facing each other, and then you fold them up over the legs. I should have turned these wing sections back first, actually, because otherwise they get caught up on his... If you don't turn the wing sections back first, they get caught up on his feet. So, again, out of respect to that, I'll take the foot out, swing the wing section out, bring the feet back up, and then tab it together here in the body. So the wing sections, they should be out first if you didn't have that done. All that leaves now are the arms. And you flip them down. And you flip them down, and when you do so, maybe I should explain this first. There's a hole in here on the wing, a hole in right there on the wing, and a tab underneath the arm on the forearm right there, and that tab needs to go into the hole on the wing. And you want to do the same thing on the other side, and that's it. I think we're done. And yeah, boom, there you go. Jhiaxus in his plane mode. Of course, I took off his guns. You didn't have to. I just found it a little bit easier if I had them off to transform him, but you have little pegs basically on the sides. There's a 5mm handle, so that just goes held in his hand, but to store it, there's a little tiny hole here and a little peg on either side of the gun. It's probably, maybe it's a 3mm hole, I'm not sure. It's certainly smaller than your typical slot in a handset. And that one goes on there. And this one over here will go on just the same way, I hope. And boom, there you go. Easy transformation. I forgot to do the wings before folding up the legs. Not a big deal, because the thing is, the legs just on tab right here, no problem. For you to turn the wings, and then you can just tab them back up. It's easy. Absolutely, positively. Big fan of this guy and this mode. I love it. I think it worked for Starscream. I think it works for Jhiaxus. And like I said, I'm glad I got him. Transformation. It's fun. It's interesting and evolved enough without being frustrating or cumbersome. You can fiddle him back and forth pretty quickly. I would say his transformation is, honestly for me, it's 10. I love it. I think it's great. So a 10 for that, a 9.5, a 2 for his coloring. And that's only because it was a very stylized color that was used. Even though it does look brilliant. I'm going to give this guy, honestly, I'm going to give this guy an overall score of about 9.5. I think he's one that a lot of people would have looked over. And you probably did too. And understandably so, because he's not one that you would remember from your childhood. But this is a toy that I would, you know, feel pretty comfortable giving a kid to play with. I think that they would enjoy it. I think that a collector could enjoy it. And if you looked him over and you get a chance to pick him up, hopefully you will enjoy him too. Anyway, that does it for this one. Another one in the books. You know I thank you for dropping by and giving me some of your time. As always, I look forward to the next time that we have a visit right here inside the videos.